Boom. We're back. Hey guys. Okay, so I had to get our pinning situation down. Good evening. It's the time change for me. I'm like, what time of day is it? I am Sierra Shepherd, C Speaks, writer and media correspondent for Jillian Magazine here. Oh, you guys can't hear me? No sound? Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Thumbs up if you can hear me. I saw someone say they couldn't hear me. Thumbs up, you can hear me? Okay, perfect. All right, let's get it started, guys. So I am C Speaks, writer and media correspondent. Okay, perfect. Thank you guys for Jillian Magazine. And I'm here to chat with you guys about 4 ways to conduct an informative interview. I have done a few things in the area. I cannot wait to share with you guys all that I've done. I know I'm a little behind. I had some technical difficulties. Y'all know how that goes. So I'm just going to jump right into this thing. Awesome. You guys can hear me. And we're going to get right into this. So again, I want to thank DC Now Events for letting me come on and chat with you guys. And I'm super excited to share my story, hold it down for Jillian Magazine and let you guys in on some of the tips I use when I'm conducting interviews, whether I'm on a red carpet, whether I'm corresponding at an event, or if I'm on Instagram Live, which has become my new norm due to COVID, and the show must continue, right? The show must go on. So Instagram, IG Live has become everyone's television. I mean, we've all been here making it happen and make it shake. So hi again, I'm C Speaks. I am lifestyle and fashion contributor for Jillian Magazine. I'm also a media correspondent and a writer. I also am community and memberships manager of Black Girls in Media, which is one of the fastest growing online virtual media hubs of resources and results. Shout out to Tasha McCaskill, who's our founder over there. Shout out to Nora Bond, who is the founder of Jillian Magazine. And just to give you guys a little bit about myself, I'm from the DC area. I started off, funny thing, I had kind of been running from my calling for some time. I was one of those kids that didn't get in trouble, but if the teacher called my mother, it was because I wouldn't shut up. Like, I literally always was talking. And so people would come up to me in the area. Where do you shop? You know, how do you hook this up? And I was like, well, maybe I should do a style blog. And I started style blogging. I started with my own blog platform. cspeaks.com. It's still live. It's a little dated, but it's still up. And I would detail my looks. I would detail where I got them from, the price points, how to hook it up, all that good stuff, right? And then it started to transition into like lifestyle writing. I was like creating forums and columns on my page to discuss other topics like dating or what music was hot at the time, blase, blase, blase. So then I stepped out on faith. The pandemic hit, and I was like, I'm going to look into like what does a contributor do? What is a writer? Found Jillian Magazine. Hi, mommy. My mom just joined. You know, I'm going to be like 50, 60 still saying mommy. And shout out to my mom. During the pandemic, I had moved, and I was like, I have writer's block. And she was like, you need to create a section in your apartment where you can write and where you don't have writer's block. So we got a desk, we got a chair, and I started writing, and I applied to Jillian Magazine. Nora and I, again, who's the founder and the owner of the magazine, we hit it off. And it started off as me just contributing articles to her. She loved my writing style. And then she was like, I need you to interview this celebrity. I need you to interview this feature. I need you to do this. And I was like, okay. And I was like, this is my jam. This is my thing. And so I just have been going since then. And as you guys can tell, I have a natural knack for talking. And so here I am. So I definitely want to jump into my 4 points. I know I was a little behind because of my technical difficulties, but we're going to milk this puppy for all it's worth. So again, for you guys just joining, I am C Speaks, writer and media correspondent for Jillian Magazine. I am also memberships and community manager at Black Girls in Media, founded by Tasha McCaskill. So let's jump into it, okay? You guys are so sweet. Thank you. Ooh, I got cute for y'all. Okay, so the 4 tips for conducting a amazing, informative interview. I do got my notes, child. Getting old. Okay, know your guest and your audience, right? Let me put my glasses on and get in my bag. Know your guest and your audience. Something that happens far too often is that people are not educated on their guests, right? They haven't done the research. They're just asking these monotone questions, and your guests can feel that, right? Rather they are a musician or in the media industry, someone of celebrity status, or, regular people like you and I always take a side eye to regular because it's like, God didn't make me regular, but y'all know what I mean. Everybody's time is money, right? So you don't want to be sitting down having a conversation with someone and it's mundane and they know nothing about you. You guys have to take the time to do the research to dig into who it is that you're speaking with. It also humanizes them. I've had people tell me like, this is the best interview I've had because you've done research on me. So you need to know your guests. The way that it works for me over at the magazine is Nora will send me over who the featured person is, our featured person, and I'll do some research on them if I don't know them. You're not going to know everyone. It's okay. That's not your job. Your job is to conduct an informative and eye-opening conversation with this person. So you want to humanize them. You want to humanize the conversation by knowing them, by knowing who they are, knowing some tidbits about them, knowing where they're from, knowing what you guys may have in common to rally in the conversation. So those things are really, really important. Now, for those of you that are strictly on the media correspondent side, you may be on a red carpet. You may be at an event that you don't know this person. You may just be at the event. In that regard, you need to provide maybe some more general questions, but still try to specialize it to that person, right? So, hey, if this is a movie premiere and you don't know the actor or the producers, what sparks you to create this movie? You know what I mean? Tell us a little bit about yourself. So depending on the climate, it can be fast paced. You can have more time, but if you can, it's imperative to do as much research as you can on your guests. I remember Nora called me once. I had to go down and correspond at an event downtown DC. And it was like that morning she told me who I had to interview. And I was like, doing research on it was like a doctor, a really prestigious doctor. And they enjoyed it because I took the time to really dig into what he did and humanized him by having that conversation. Okay. So know your guest and know your audience. Who's watching you, right? When I am taking over the Jillian page, we have a pretty widespread of consumers. We have the millennials. We have a multifaceted of cultures, but we primarily cater to our urban culture, right? So know what questions they want to be asked so that they can engage as well. All right, let's go on to number 2. Pace yourself. This is something I should have tattooed on my head because if you're like me, your mind is ticking a mile a minute. And so your words are ticking a mile a minute. You talk fast like me. You're engaging. You're fired up. Pace yourself. You have to breathe. And if you know that you're going to have a certain amount of allotted time to speak or interview someone, you need to use that to your advantage by maximizing on it. Remember, as an interviewer, you dominate the conversation. You know what I mean? You are the driver behind this wheel. Allow people to answer you and do all of that good stuff, but this is your stuff, so you have to be on board, and you are the driving force behind this. So pace yourself, breathe. Remember that if you're on air, so if this is a radio interview or a podcast, people cannot see you. Flutter and over talking sounds terrible. So you want to be sure to pace yourself, allow everybody to complete their sentences and their thoughts. I definitely have been on a podcast here in the area too. It was 5 women all trying to convey our points and our opinions. And so there's room to do that. But you want to make sure that you guys are allowing each other to finish your sentence. You want to make sure that your guests can finish their thoughts in their sentence. And so it's not giving train wreck. I had to learn that very early on. I'm like, ooh, am I over talking people? I'm just so excited to be in the conversation that these one-offs happen. They're not on purpose, but you definitely want to nip them in the bud. Thank you guys. Thank you guys that are just joining in. I'm going to take a break to just reintroduce myself. I am Sierra Shepherd, also known as C Speaks, media correspondent and writer for Jillian Magazine. So I'm here, holding it down for them. Nora Bond, who's the CEO and founder of Jillian. Hey girl, hey. And taking over for DC Now Events to give you guys 4 ways or 4 tips to conduct an informative and amazing interview. Like, this is what we do. This is what we do. All right. So just to recap, the first one was know your guests, know your audience. The second was to pace yourself. Breathe. Okay. Make sure you're maximizing on your time. Another thing that I'm going to just throw in there is something for me that I enjoy conversation. To me, it's almost a lost art because we're always in our phones. Everything can be done digitally. There's this lack of human interaction, especially COVID helped to seal that deal. It was like, ooh, I'm not even going to cut my camera on to talk to you. The art of conversation is something that's sacred to me, and something that we need to hone back into. So I'm really excited to be here to share these tips with you guys. If you have any questions, make sure you guys drop them as I'm rambling on. Making sure I didn't miss any questions. Okay. So tip number 3. Post and promote your work online. Social media is a free resume that people from all over the globe, all over the world can access for free. You can post yourself. You can receive information. Social media has changed my life, okay? With the opportunities, with the knowledge that I can get at any beck and call, honey. You can log on and get your life online. So make sure you're posting and promoting your work. That was something, ironically, when I really got into the groove in the media industry, even though I was posting online on my social media, which is at C Speaks, shameless plug, SIE Speaks. I see somebody asked. I wasn't consistently showing my work. Interviewers, media personnel, we work really hard. You know what I mean? So post your work, promote yourself. There's never too much posting, right? Tag your stuff, tag people, have your people comment. Promote your work. It's a walking resume, and you really should be intentional with aligning with your brand and social media. Changed my life. Let me see. I think I got a question, chat. I'll let y'all talk about. Let me see. Okay. Greatness I Am asked a great question. What are the common mistakes interviewers make? So before I get into to tip number 4, I'm going to answer that. That's a great question. Something that I've noticed, again, I've listed some of the one-offs that people do, not purposely, but as you live and you learn. To me, it is not asking intentional questions, right? If you're watching an interview, you can tell when someone has no idea what they're talking about and they're just asking random questions. It's not appealing. You're not here for it. And you're like, well, I could have asked that. Like a common joke. I know something that I see because this leads into my next point, but I love watching other interviews, right? Whether they're on YouTube, like I watch YouTube way more than TV. But you'll see just random questions. They always make fun of DJ Envy on Breakfast Club because they're like, Envy's always answering, like asking like basic questions that we already knew. And that's no shade to DJ Envy. He's a legend. He knows what he does, but it's a running joke in media. Like, Envy, you couldn't have took 2 seconds to really ask the person what, you know what I mean? So that would be my answer to that. Common mistakes that happen are not doing the research, misquoting, if you're interviewing someone that has a project out, not being well versed on their project, people don't got time for that. They want to know that you really are there to pick their brain. And yeah, so make sure you guys are posting questions. Hit the question mark. For those of you that are just joining, again, I'm C Speaks, Sierra Shepherd, media correspondent and writer here on behalf of Jillian Magazine, giving you guys 4 pointers on conducting an amazing, informative interview. Okay, I am on tip number 4, but I'm going to go through the 3 tips just in case you guys hopped on towards the end. Don't worry, I got you. Okay, number 1 is to know your guests and your audience. Number 2 is to pace yourself. Breathe, girl. Breathe, stretch, shake, let it go. Number 3 is to study your craft, right? Oops, I lied. Number 3 is post and promote your work online. So you are a walking billboard. Promote your work, promote yourself, brand yourself as who you are. There's been so many times that before I got, was crowned the titles that I have now, I was walking into rooms already as who I knew me to be. That's a word. Somebody need to hear that. I was already walking into rooms like, hi, when I just had my blog page, right? I was like, I'm a blogger. I'm a writer. I'm a contributor. And I literally manifested all of the opportunities that are falling into my lap. It's even like crazy to say because I was showing up in that way. Post and promote your work online. Post who you are, right? Show who you are. It's so important to do that. All right, let's go to number 4. Study your craft. Now, this ties into all of the other tips that I've given because to me, those that conduct the most intuitive and interactive and amazing interviews to me know what they're doing, right? They've studied. And like I was saying earlier, more so than me watching television, I live on YouTube, y'all. I'm not going to lie. Breakfast Club interviews. I love the new shows on Fox Soul, which are hosted on YouTube as well, are shown on YouTube rather. I would love watching old 106 and Park interviews, Rap City, like just that era of music. And you really get to see the authenticity of that time and getting to know people and how the culture was everything. It was such a different time, right? So study your craft, right? People can say what they say about Wendy Williams, triple OG. Like she's been sitting in that seat for so long. She knows her stuff. Oprah Winfrey, give her flowers, right? Gayle King, study your craft. Even the Breakfast Club, again, right? They've been doing what they've been doing for a very long time and have been super successful and also pushers of the culture. So watching what they do. Also, this is the gotcha, watching yourself back. You may not even realize that you're, fidgeting or talking fast or not pronouncing one letter, entirely over another, right? So you want to study your craft, literally study your craft, re-listen to your interviews, re-watch yourself, challenge yourself, if it's given TED Talk to see what other tidbits you can do, but you have to invest in yourself and in your craft. I think a lot of people think they can just hop online, and the beauty of Instagram and social media is like twofold, right? You can jump on and be whoever you want, but once the cameras start flowing and technology glitches, and that was shade to myself like earlier, or the lights go down, those of us who have studied our craft and are invested in this are the ones that you can you can tell, you know what I mean? It bleeds through, it shows through. And so study your craft. I think that goes for any career, any professional, any hobby that you are taking seriously. Take the time to study. Okay, so I'm going to recap these briefly for you guys. Again, this was 4 ways to conduct an informative interview. I am writer and media correspondent for Jillian Magazine. Shout out to Nora Bonds, our CEO. Hey girl, hey. And I am C Speaks, also known as Sierra Shepherd here, taking over for DC Now Events, giving you guys 4 ways to conduct an informative interview. I know it was a little hybrid, but I really hope you guys were able to digest some of this. And as usual, it's always my pleasure to share my knowledge with you. You guys make sure that you're following me at C Speaks, SIE Speaks on Instagram. Make sure you are following the magazine page, which is Jillian. The at is pinned down below, JENLEEION. We have our new feature out with DC's own Fat Trail, so make sure you guys check out our most recent cover and our November edition and issue. And I'm going to go through the four tips to conduct an informative interview one last time. Remember, number 1 is to know your guests and your audience. Number 2, pace yourself. Breathe, stretch, shake, get your life, right? Number 3, post and promote your work online. You are your own walking billboard, excuse me. And 4, study your craft. Pour into you so that it shows when you log on the interview. Thank you guys so much for your time. Again, I am C Speaks at SIE Speaks, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you again, DC Now Events. You guys have a great night.